Hello and welcome back to another episode of Wrap It Up Wednesdays on Adventures with Piccadilly. Today I'm going to be showing you one of my favorite two-scarf wraps called a Zig Zag Wrap. Now essentially this is just going to be a two-scarf variation on a regal wrap, but we'll make sure that the way the things line up you get that nice zigzag pattern. So today I'm wearing a signature shaper from Rapunzel. And I'm going to be using two lightweight scarves. One is a 2-in-1 from Rapunzel, and one is a lightweight scarf from Vera Bradley. It helps if your scarves for this one are similar. They don't have to be exactly the same. Like, it'll still work, obviously, if you're not using two 2-in-1s, but similar weight, similar length does help. So let's get started. The first decision you have to make is which scarf is going to go on the bottom. I like to do that with my longer scarf, just so that it gives me a little bit of extra length, obviously, to start out with, because this is the scarf that's going to be going around the circumference of your head. So I'll fold this in so that the width is correct, flip it up, and you want to get this about half on each side. Doesn't have to be exact. So I'm going to tie in the back. And now you see I have my scarf. Even-ish tails and fully covered. I'm going to take my second scarf and fold it to more of a sash width. So rather than folding it to show similar to the width of my head, I'm going to fold it fairly thin because we're just making a edge with it basically. I'm also going to put it pretty far back because in this wrap I don't want it showing underneath in the front. If you did, you could do it straight in the front and that would just change the look of the very front part of your scarf. Totally up to you. Two options of ways to do the same. This gives you variety. You know how I like variety. But with this, I'm going to tie it about halfway back, as you can see. And then just based on how I tie my ties, one ends up on top, one ends up underneath of this other tie. That's personal preference. It's just kind of whatever works best for your head. So now I've got one tail of each scarf on either side. And from here, I'm just gonna start building. So what you wanna do, I like to start on the side where the top of my knot is. You can see it's here. This may be one of those things that's easier to feel than it is to see, so just play around with it. But the ones that are kind of pointed up. I'm going to start with the scarf that's not my main look because I want that kind of back and forth pattern. Bring it up. And with this first one, your goal is to get as far forward as possible because you're wanting to give yourself the most kind of space to work. So up and around, and then tuck it in the back. Starting on the other side with the other color, this is your base scarf. I'm gonna flare it out, bring it up and around. And tuck underneath. All right, so from here, you have a bit of a choice. So you have we'll call it the pattern scarf and the solid scarf. So I have the pattern scarf first, coming from my right, and the solid scarf second, coming from my left. But it's either going to be solid again, coming from the right for that alternate, or I can come from the left again and have the pattern solid, pattern solid. I am going to come from the right. Just again, this is personal preference, really about how you want it to look yourself. So I'm going to bring it up, over, across, and around, and I'm going to do that again because I got that weird pocket, and you know me, I do not like width near the front of my face. So the trick to that is, as you've pleated and then are pulling it around, let the different parts of the scarf pull sort of independently, and that will keep you from getting those weird, like, flumps, for lack of a better word. Up and around. Tuck, 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 tuck. And one good thing about this wrap is that every new layer that you create with a tail, you're creating new pockets for your tucking. So you've got lots of options back there. Just basically I go in wherever my hand finds first, as I feel like that's the most convenient. And then finally, again, a little bit of pleating, up and around. And tuck in the back. So as you can see now, I've got the separate zigzags coming together. The pattern is a little wonky this way because I've got print, solid print, but that's okay. Like I said, it's totally up to you. You can even, if you don't like that, you can switch them in the back so that your prints both come from one side, your solids both come from another, and you have print solid, print solid. There's lots of options with this wrap. I strongly encourage you to play around with it, figure out what you like the best, and enjoy. Thanks. See you next week.